Men can become mothers in a modern society. That's the theory of a Canterbury University gender expert who is giving a public lecture on campus today. She says the fact that women give birth doesn't necessarily make them the best or the only person able to provide care for babies and children. Associate Professor Annick Masselot joins us now. Thank you for joining us this morning, Professor. What do you mean by saying that men could become mothers here?
Well, I mean that the provider of care is not necessarily just the mother. We always assume that it's going to be the mother, and so that means that has an impact on women's employment and on their ability to work and to do other things. It also means that automatically mothers are doing most of the care. They're doing most of the cooking, most of the cleaning, and it's not necessarily fair in a society where women have a really high rate of employment. So we need to look at how to share better the domestic task, and we need to look at how to share better the work in the house and outside the house.
Do we still assume that now in today's society? Because I would have thought that we'd got past that and most men would help out at home and would share some of those responsibilities.
Well, in all fairness, men in New Zealand are doing far better than men in the OECD. So on average, men in New Zealand are doing about 2.5 hours of work in the house, whereas in the OECD, on average, it's a little bit less than 2 hours. And but by comparison, women are doing every day about over 5.5 hours of work in the house. So you know, it's a lot more of work. And when you think that also they're working in paid employment, that's a lot of work and a lot less time they have for themselves, if you want. So although men are doing a lot more, or a little bit more than the average man in the OECD country, they're still doing a lot less than women in New Zealand, and we have to be very clear about that. This is not fair, and it's not right for people who are working, both people that are working.
So practically, what are you saying needs to change here? Are you saying the attitudes of men, so they should be expecting to cook the dinner, to do the dishes, or are you saying they need to be more involved with their children in terms of the parenting?
I think it's a whole lot of things. I mean, it's a very complex relationship between the law and the society. I think a lot of men are willing. There is a growing minority of men who are willing to take on board, looking after their children, having a bonding relationship with their children, and the law is not allowing that for them. So, for example, if you're looking at the parental leave legislation, it's all dependent on the mothers. If the mother qualifies for it, then the fathers can have it. And if you're looking at the extended parental leave, it's unpaid. Even the paternity leave, it's 2 weeks in New Zealand, which is relatively standard in most countries, but it's a lot less than, for example, in Finland or Lithuania, where they have 1 month, but it's also unpaid. And so those extended leave, for example, the parental leave, which is unpaid, if you have, in a couple, if you have the choice between the mother or the father to take the leave, the one that earns the less money will always take the leave, because you have to keep the income coming. And because we have a gender pay gap in New Zealand that is still of 10%, and also because a lot of fathers are still the main breadwinner, then it means that automatically it is almost systematically the mother that will take it. There is also a big gender stereotype, if you want. There is a lot of people that expect the mother to take that leave. So for a year, women will take that leave, and often for longer, actually.
Okay, Professor Annick Masselot, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll get a lot of feedback for this one.